What's up, everybody? How you doing today? This is break number 697 BD. This is a case, or 8 boxes, half case of Panini Donruss baseball. Here we go. Let's get into it. Here we go. Box number 1. All right, box number 1. Box number 1. Good luck, everybody. Here we go. Ricky Henderson, Tommy White, Josuar Gonzalez, Cooper Pratt. There's Mike Piazza. There's Matt Shaw on the Marvels. This one is numbered 182 out of 199. 182 out of 199. There's Andrew Walters. Andrew Walters, 8 out of 25. That one is for Cleveland. Pee Wee Reese on the Optichrome. Michael Young. Jordan Lawler. There's Brooks Lee on the Sunburst. That's Purple Christian Campbell. Purple Christian Campbell. That should be 49. 42 of 49. Jimmy Rollins. There's Gary Sheffield. That is Hagen Smith for the White Sox. That one is 18 out of 199. Bubba Chandler. Jeff Bagwell. There's Kirby Puckett on the Green Sunburst. Green Sunburst. That's Owen Hall for Detroit. That is David Shields for the Kansas City. Yachty. Spencer Jones. Juan Marshall. That is a red Spencer Jones. Red Spencer Jones. I think that's to 99. 57 of 99, Spencer Jones. And our first auto is for Milwaukee. That's Blake Burke on the not numbered Optichrome. Blake Burke on the Optichrome. Jim Palmer. Prince Fielder. That is Tony Olivia, 34 out of 250. PJ Morlando on the Optichrome. Don Mattingly. Paul Skeens on the Marvel. There's Buster Posey on the Sunburst. Cash Mayfield for San Diego. Optichrome Auto. That is Cole Young for Seattle. Cole Young. On the orange, Kevin Alcantara to 149. Or 199, excuse me. 157 of 199. That's Braden Montgomery on the acetate for Chicago White Sox. Carlos Beltran. Deion Sanders on the foil. Luis Angel Acuna on the Optichrome. I have no idea why it stopped. Opie, I do apologize about that. I'm assuming that the spots ended, but I do not know. The invoices will be coming out soon, I guess, on that. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know if there's something wrong with the listing. So it might have ended prematurely. Deion Sanders. Emmett Sheehan. It might have ended prematurely. I'm sorry, bud. I do not know. I know the invoices will be out soon. Leo Tavares on the purple. That one is 36 out of 99. Trey Savage. Our patch is Joe Torre for the Yankees. Joe Torre on the patch for the Yankees. This one is not numbered. Rhett Lauder. That's Hagen Smith on the Unleashed. Rhett Lauder on the foil. On the pink, Mike Mussina to 79. That is 28 of 79. Alex Gordon. Charlie Condon. There's Kalen Culpepper. Cam Smith. That is box number 1. Box number 2. I'll do my best for you, Cards and Comics. I'll do my best. You got it. Ozzie Smith, that is 80... Looks like 96 out of 199. 96 of 199. Jim Leland. That's Jordan Lawler for the Diamondbacks on the green foil. Dylan Head on the foil for Miami. Kellen Lindsey for the Dodgers. Yairo Irate for the White Sox. Paul Skeens on the green foil, Pirates. Buster Posey for the Giants. We got Josar Gonzalez for the Giants. That is 47 of 79 on the pink. We got William Kempner for the Miami Marlins. That is number 2 out of 25 on the auto. 2 out of 25. Colt Keith for Detroit. Dalton Rushing for the Dodgers. That is Malcolm Moore to 250. Malcolm Moore, 196 out of 250. That's for Texas. Braylon Payne for Milwaukee on the Optichrome. Pedro Martinez, Chase Dollander, Colorado. On the Sunburst, Dylan Cruz for Darren Baker for Washington. James Triantos for the Cubs. Our next auto Optichrome is Travis Bazana. That's a nice one for the Cleveland Guardians. Number 1 overall pick in the draft. Hagen Smith on the lime green. That's 23 out of 149 for the White Sox. Spencer Jones for the Yankees on the acetate. That's Gerangelo for Seattle. Tony Perez for the Red Sox. We got Don Mattingly for the Yankees on the Optichrome. Carlos Beltran for the Mets. We got Bobby Witt Jr. for the Kansas City Royals. That is Will Wagner for the Blue Jays. That is purple, 95 of 99. Christian Campbell for the Red Sox. Prince Fielder on the patch. This one is 50 out of 99. 50 of 99. Prince Fielder. This one's going to the Detroit Tigers. Detroit Tigers on the Prince Fielder. Andrew Jones for the Atlanta. Austin Wells for the Yankees. That's Junior Caminero. Spencer Arrighetti for Houston. That is 28 out of 199. Dustin Pedroia, Red Sox. Luis Angel Acuna, that one's for Texas. That's Roman Anthony for the Red Sox. Vance Honeycutt for Baltimore. Robin Ventura, the White Sox. Don Mattingly, the Yankees. Sunburst. That is Tommy Troy for the Diamondbacks. Aiden Miller for the Phillies. Nick York for Pittsburgh. Luis Angel Acuna, that one is for the Mets. That one is 130 out of 199. Jim Thome for the Phillies. 131 of 199. Jimmy Rollins on the Optichrome for the Phillies. Panda Bear for the Giants. We got James Tibbs for the Giants. Sunburst of Bobby Witt Jr. for Kansas City. We got Bryce Cunningham for the Yankees. That is 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 on the green Optichrome. Dylan Cruz for the Washington Nationals. We got Connor Griffin for the Pirates on the coming attraction. Box number 3. Somehow there must have been a glitch on eBay. Somebody just told me that, Alex, and it looks like the auctions got ended early. So I don't know what's going on or how it happened on eBay, but that's what I just, somebody else just brought to my attention. Yep, well, I saw that. I just got notified the same thing. Somehow the auctions got ended early. I don't know what's going on. If you can contact Dane and let him know and see what's going on and why this is happening. So, but I don't know if it was an eBay glitch or something, but nothing I can do about it while I'm in the middle of a break. You need to either contact Dane or Ty and let them know what's going on. Yeah, we know there is a glitch on eBay. We know there's something going on, and all the auctions got ended early. We're looking into it now, guys. We're looking into it now. All right, box number 3. That is Bert Campaneris, 247 out of 250. Agustin Ramirez for Miami, Optichrome. There's Pee Wee Reeves for the Dodgers. Kumar Rocker for Texas. Johnny Bench on the Sunburst. Leo Tavares. First auto, Trey Yesavage for the Blue Jays. Trey Yesavage for the Blue Jays on the Optichrome. He needs to look into the other breaks after this too, just to make sure. Roger Clemens on the green. That is 61 of 149. Kalen Culpepper for Minnesota on the acetate. George Brett. Yadi Molina. Jordan Lawler for the Diamondbacks on the Optichrome. Luis Angel Acuna. That is for the Mets. Christian Campbell for the Red Sox. All right, thank you, Blah. Jacob Mizrowski. Our next patch goes to the Baltimore Orioles on the Jersey King. Jersey King not numbered. Baltimore Orioles, Heston Kjerstad. Austin Wells for the Yankees. Gary Sheffield for the Yankees. Ricky Henderson for Oakland on the foil. Jacob Mizrowski for Milwaukee on the orange. That is 121 of 199. Evan Carter. Brooks Robinson. That is Tink Hence for St. Louis. Tommy Troy for the Diamondbacks. Jim Cott for Minnesota. Paul Skeens for the Pirates. That is Takara Roby for St. Louis on the Sunburst. Boston Bateman for the Padres. Jake Arrieta, that goes to the Cubs. That one is Aiden Miller for the Phillies. Aiden Miller, numbered 39 of 199. Luis Baez for Houston. This one is numbered 26 of 99. Catfish Hunter on the Optichrome. That's Jace Jung on the from Detroit. There's Aaron Judge on the green Diamond Marvels Sunburst. On the Sunburst, Alex Rodriguez for Texas. This is a black laser Ryan Braun for Milwaukee to 39. 2 out of 39. Ian Kinsler for Texas. That is James Wood. Welcome to Washington, or greetings from Washington. $143 out of $199. That is Jarlin Susanna for the Washington Nationals. Starlin Caba for Miami. Darren Baker for Washington. That is Rintaro Sasaki on the green Sunburst. Billy Amick for Minnesota. George Lombard for the Yankees. Bobby Witt Jr. That is Chase Dollander for Colorado Unleashed. Mike Piazza on the foil. That is a red Dalton Rushing for the Dodgers. We have a redemption behind that. Dwight Gooden. Matt Shaw for the Cubs. Dalton Rushing red, numbered 52 of 99. Our redemption is a base rated prospect optic. 111 is the number. That is Luke Keyshaw. Luke Keyshaw, that's Minnesota. That is the Twins. Luke Keyshaw of the Twins on the redemption. All right, box number 4. Box number 4. What's up, Mr. Unlimited? This is box number 4. Apparently there was a glitch, and it looks like the auctions got ended early. Looks like there was a glitch, and the auctions got ended early. I am not sure. I'm in the middle of the break right now. Management is working on it, so at this point in time, that's all I know to let you guys know. Looks like we have some gold here. Looks like we have some gold. Here we go, guys. Box number 4. We got Terry Francona for the Red Sox. That is Enrique Bradfield Jr. for Baltimore on the gold. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, Enrique Bradfield Jr. Nice hit for the Orioles. 2 out of 10. That's Jake Bloss for Toronto. Tommy White. Bryce Cunningham for the Yankees. Luke Keyshaw for Minnesota. Lou Gehrig for the Yankees. That's Jordan Lawler on the Marvels. We got blue to 149. That's Nolan Ryan. 136 out of 149. David Shields for the Royals on the Optichrome. Will Wagner. That is Luis Angel Acuna on the green foil sunburst. Like I just said, right now management is looking into it. It looks like the auctions got ended early with some sort of glitch. Management is looking into it. Heston Kjerstad on the sunburst. Colin Hawk. There is Bryce Matthews for Houston on the redemption. Bryce Matthews on the base redemption. For the Astros. Jet Williams on the orange. Jet Williams, 75 of 199. That's for the Mets. Colt Emerson for Seattle on the acetate. Reggie Jackson. That is Jake Bloss for the Blue Jays. Jacob Wilson for the A's on the Optichrome. Paul Skeens. Jack Morris for Detroit. That's a purple, 39 out of 99. Kellen Lindsey for the Dodgers. Travis Bazzana, Cleveland. Alex Rodriguez for Texas. Spencer Jones for the Yankees, unleashed green sunburst. Yeah, Derek, we know. Management's looking into it right now. So, looks like the auctions got ended early somehow, some sort of glitch. I do not know. That is Jared Thomas for Colorado. Aiden Miller for the Phillies. Johnny Bench. Christian Campbell for the Red Sox. That is Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig for the Yankees. Sammy Sosa on the green. That is 103 of 149. Our next auto goes to the Dodgers. Dodger Blue. This one is numbered 12 out of 35. That is Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller for the Dodgers. Hey, Blah, if you can come over to the eBay and maybe post something up in the eBay chat and pin it up there saying that we're working on fixing that inception break, that would be wonderful. So I don't have to keep telling everybody. Kobe Mayo. That is Braden Montgomery for the White Sox on the Unleashed. That is Eddie Matthews for the Atlanta Braves. That's Milwaukee Braves going to Atlanta. Christian Campbell for the Red Sox. Will Clark. That is a beautiful Marvels of Evan Carter. Diamond Marvels. That one is numbered 17 of 99 for Texas. I don't know if you can get, Blah, I don't know if you can get in there and post something, but that'd be great if you could. Bucky Dent, that is 91 of 250 for the Yankees. Kumar Rocker on the Optichrome for Texas. Jairo Arte for the Cubs. I'm sorry, White Sox. Gary Sheffield for New York Yankees. That is Jake Peavy for the Padres on the Sunburst. That is Pedro Martinez to 39 on the Black Lasers. Pedro Martinez, 37 of 39. Colt Keith, that's for Detroit. Diamond Kings of Matt Shaw for the Cubs. That is Trey Savage for the Blue Jays. That is 57 of 199. Braden Montgomery for the White Sox. There's Prince Fielder for the Detroit Tigers. That is his second patch of the break. Terry Francona, Red Sox. Spencer Jones for the Yankees. Got you. You know what? Give me a second. Let me see if I can copy what you put down, and I'll pin that. Give me a second. Let's see. Should be able to copy this. Let's see. Bookmarked. Alright, let's see. We're going to pin that right there. Beautiful. There we go. It's pinned. Done. Alright, so that's pinned right there. Alright. That was box number 4. Box number 4. All right, box number 5. Box number 5. Here we go. Box number 5. Here we go. All right, this is box number 5. Box number 5. That is Jet Williams. Jet Williams for the Mets. Kyle Teal for the White Sox. Spencer Arrighetti, Houston. Sebastian Walcott for Texas. That is Alex Rodriguez for Texas. Robin Ventura on the Optichrome Green. Optichrome Green, 83 out of 149. Our next auto is Owen Hall. That is for the Detroit Tigers. Owen Hall on the Optichrome auto. There is a message pinned up about break number 680 or 98. We are working on it. Management is on top of it. Thank you very much. That is Bryce Matthews for Houston on the Sunburst. Slade Caldwell for Arizona. Randy Johnson, Arizona. We got Gary Sheffield. That is 173 of 199 for the Yankees. James Wood on the Sunburst. Tyson Neighbors for San Diego. Our next auto is Jim Palmer, Hall of Fame pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. That is 7 out of 25. 7 out of 25 for the Baltimore Orioles. Hall of Fame pitcher Jim Palmer. That is Vance Honeycutt on the orange. 178 of 199. Kevin Alcantara for the Cubs, for the Cubs on the acetate. Jace Jung on the Marvels for Texas. The Texans. Wait. Scratch that. Detroit Tigers. Wow. We got Paul Skeens on the foil for Pittsburgh. Chipper Jones on the Optichrome for Atlanta. What if the auctions have ended, then that's the auction. If that's the price, then that'll be the price of the spot. Which means that we would take the hit. Yes. Adam Wainwright. I'm assuming if the spot ends for $50, that's what we're going to charge you guys. $193.99. Tekoa Roby for St. Louis. Like I said, management is working on it. Kellen Lindsey for the Dodgers. Cal Ripken for Baltimore. We got Charlie Condon for Colorado. Yeah. We are not going to cancel the break because of this. No. It does, but these things happen. We don't know why glitches happen on eBay. We don't control eBay. 26 out of 199. This stuff happens. It's out of our control. I wish we could control everything. Jim Rice on the Optichrome. Tony Olivia for Minnesota. Mike Piazza. That is Manny Ramirez for Boston. Malcolm Moore for the Texas Rangers, 13 of 99. Yeah, Roy, I'm sorry, but I wish, like I said, I wish I knew what was going on. I have no clue. I have no clue whatsoever, buddy. Zebby Matthews from Minnesota. Chase Dolander on the greetings from Colorado. That is an artist proof. 25 of 25 of Kellen Lindsey for the Dodgers. Vance Honeycutt. That is for Baltimore. That is Kumar Rocker, 41 out of 99 for Texas. Connor Norby. Aaron Judge Unleashed. Sorry, Rick, I have no idea. I wish I did. That is Will Warren for the Blue Jays. That's Mike Mussina. 5 out of 5 on the green Optichrome. Frank Thomas, Cal Ripken. That is Drew Gilbert for the Mets. James Triantos for the Cubs. Bucky Dent. Aaron Judge. Ken Griffey Jr., 39 of 250. Cooper Pratt on the Optichrome. Johnny Mize. Seaver King on the green Sunburst. That's for Washington. And that is box number 5. Box number 6. All right, box number 6. That's Ryan Clifford for the Mets. Ryan Clifford, that is 97 out of 250. Colin Hawk for the Mets. Prince Fielder, Milwaukee. That is Joe Morgan on the green sunburst. That one's going to Cincinnati for Joe Morgan. Foil of Christian Moore for the Angels. Travis Bazzana for Cleveland. Pudge Rodriguez for Texas. That's Leo Tavares for the Padres. That's Mike Schmidt for the Phillies. Jared Thomas for Colorado to 79, 63 of 79. Riley Cornelio for the Washington Nationals on the auto. This one is not numbered. Miguel Tejada for Baltimore. Cliff Lee for the Phillies. Right now, I do not know what they are doing, okay? So honestly, I can't accept any offers or anything. Management is working on it. Thank you. That is Carson Williams for Tampa Bay, 49 of 149. Dylan Head on the Optichrome for Miami. Nolan Ryan. That's Carson Bench for the Mets. Sunburst of Dwight Gooden for the Mets. That is Luke Keyshaw for Minnesota. Our next auto is Braden Montgomery. That is for the Chicago White Sox. And that is numbered 20 out of 49. 20 out of 49. Braden Montgomery. Franklin Arias for Boston. That is green. Green Franklin Arias, 12 of 149. That's a nice Charlie Condon for Colorado. That is on the acetate. Paul Molitor. Ken Griffey Jr. foil. That's Jeff Bagwell on the Optichrome. Ozzie Smith. That is Charlie Condon on the Marvels. That is numbered 60 out of 99. 60 of 99. Nice hit for the Rockies. That is Jimmy Rollins for the Phillies, 176 of 199. Noah Schultz for the White Sox. Our patch is Malcolm Moore. That is 99 of 99 going to Texas. Catfish Hunter, Charlie Condon. That is Randy Johnson for the Diamondbacks. That is Roger Clemens on the orange to 199. 44 of 199. That's for the Red Sox. What's up, Buck? How was the show? Was it busy? Pretty decent foot traffic. Nice, buddy. Nice. Jordan Lawler. Vlad Guerrero for the Angels. Carson Williams for Tampa Bay. Brady Montgomery, White Sox. Craig Biggio. Ozzie Smith. That is 88 of 99, Jake Peavy for the Padres. Dante Nori for the Phillies. Adam Wainwright, St. Louis. That is 84 of 199. That is Red Lauder for the Cincinnati Reds. That is Trey Yesavage for Toronto, 238 out of 250. Yachty on the Optichrome. Yachty. Jack Leiter. We got Seaver King on the Marvels. Jake Arrieta, that's for the Cubs on the Sunburst. Catfish Hunter, purple. That is 42 of 49 for the Oakland A's. John Smoltz. Diamond King, Nick Kurtz going to the A's. Nick Kurtz on the Diamond King. That was box number 6. Box number 7. Box number 7. Here we go. All right, box number 7. Box number 7. Here we go. Heston Kjerstad, Baltimore. Reggie Jackson, that one's for Oakland. Noble Mayer for Miami. Bryce Matthews for Houston. Jake Peavy, that's for San Diego. That is Albert Pujols to 15. 15 out of 15 on the Purple Elite Series Sunburst. Nice hit for St. Louis. That is Bryce Eldridge, 1 of 1 black. 1 of 1 black, Bryce Eldridge for the Giants. Nice hit for the Giants. Back-to-back hits. Edgar Martinez on the Optichrome. There's Juan Marshall for the Giants. Roman Anthony, Red Sox. There's Tony Perez on the Sunburst. Rintaro Sasaki, 141 out of 199. Hurston Waldrop for the Braves. Yachty for St. Louis. Purple, Caleb Lomavita for Washington, excuse me. For Washington, this one's 23 of 99. Josué Gonzalez for the Giants. Jackson Chourio, Milwaukee. That is Luis Angel Acuna for the Mets. Sunburst, that is Junior Caminero, Tampa Bay. Connor Griffin, Pittsburgh. That is Mark Burley, pitcher extraordinaire for the White Sox. Mark Burley, not numbered. I like Mark Burley. Good pitcher. Colson Montgomery for the White Sox, red, 8 out of 99. Hagen Smith for the White Sox on the acetate. Bobby Witt Jr. for Kansas City. Jim Palmer for the Orioles. That is Cliff Lee for the Phillies on the Optichrome. That was a White Sox pack right there for sure. James Wood for Washington. Seaver King for Washington. That is Luis Baez for Houston. That is 75 of 199. Thatcher Hurd for the Yankees. That is a night moves case hit of Aaron Judge for the Yankees. Aaron Judge case hit night moves for the New York Yankees. Nice hit for the Yankees. Hello. Yeah, this has been an insane box, exactly. Imagine if you PC'd this box, because I think there's still more to come. Manny Ramirez. That is Kobe Mayo on the green sunburst. How about Ethan Salas for San Diego? Matt Shaw for the Cubs. Eddie Matthews for the Braves. That is Brady House for Washington. Alex Gordon for the Kansas City Royals. How about Alex Rodriguez to 39? Alex Rodriguez to 39. 32 of 39. Kyle DeBarge for the Minnesota Twins on the rated prospect auto. We got Bobby Miller for the Dodgers. Diamond Kings of Jack Leiter. Mariano Rivera, Yankees. Jack Leiter was Texas. Marcelo Mayer for Boston. Don Mattingly on the foil. Reggie Jackson on the optic. Roger Clemens. We got a green sunburst marvel of Nick Kurtz for the A's. That is Bryce Rainier for Detroit. Agustin Ramirez for Miami. That is Kobe Mayo, 55 of 149 on the blue. Sebastian Walcott, our patch goes to Billy Williams of the Chicago Cubs. 26 of 99. Billy Williams of the Cubs. Now that was a really, really good box. Nice box there. It's definitely one you want to PC. And box number 8. Box number 8, last box of the break, guys. Here we go. All right, box number 8. Here we go. Willie Stargell. Austin Wells on the green sunburst for the Yankees. Spencer Arrighetti for Houston. Ricky Henderson on the Optichrome. Seaver King on the green. That is numbered 12 out of 149. Bryce Matthews, that is on the acetate for Houston. Johnny Bench. Seaver King for Washington on the green to 149. Big Poppy. There's Jace Jung on the Sunburst. That is for Detroit. Hagen Smith for the White Sox. How about Yadi Molina on the auto? Yadier Molina on the auto. And that one is numbered 6 out of 15. 6 of 15 for the St. Louis Cardinals. Yadier Molina. Darren Baker for Washington. Travis Bazzana, Cleveland. That's Cam Smith for Houston. 250 out of 250 on the bookend. Chase DeLauder. That is for Cleveland also. Another hit for Cleveland. Jace Jung for Detroit. Greetings from Texas, Evan Carter. That is another black laser to 39. That is Ian Kinsler for Texas on the Sunburst. How about for the Mets this time? Drew Gilbert. Drew Gilbert to 39 black lasers. 35 of 39. Ian Kinsler for Texas. That is Connor Griffin for Pittsburgh. Purple, 14 of 99. That is the kid for Cincinnati. Ken Griffey Jr. Mike Piazza for the Dodgers. That is Austin Wells for the Yankees. That is Aaron Judge, 1 out of 25 on the Unleashed. 1 out of 25. Sunburst, that is Takara Roby for St. Louis. That is Owen Hall for Detroit. Andrew Walters for Cleveland. Spencer Jones for the Yankees. Albert Pujols. That is Bert Campaneris for the A's. Our next auto is Welbin Francisca. Welbin Francisca for Cleveland. Not numbered. Tim Hudson. Luis Angel Acuna for the Mets. That is Dalton Rushing for the Dodgers. Colt Emerson for Seattle. David Ortiz. There's Big Poppy again on the green sunburst. That is Rhett Lauder, 119 out of 199 for the Reds. Ethan Anderson for Baltimore. Our last 6 packs. Here we go. Bobby Witt Jr. There's Aaron Judge. Brock Wilken for Milwaukee. Brady House for the Washington Nationals. Dwight Gooden. That is Kumar Rocker on the green sunburst. That goes to Texas. Cal Ripken. There's Robin Ventura for the White Sox. 12 out of 199. Two packs to go. Jake Arrieta, Cubs. Mason Wynn, St. Louis. Our last pack has a patch in it. Last pack has a patch. That is Jarlin Susana for Washington, and our final hit of the break goes to the San Francisco Giants. That's Josué Gonzalez. Josué Gonzalez on the Jersey King patch, not numbered. And there is your break, my friends. Let me get the counter cleared off here. We'll do our recap. All right, get that out of the way. All right, here we go. Recap time. All right, here we go to 250. Cam Smith, Trey Savage, Ryan Clifford. There's Ken Griffey Jr., Bucky Dent, Bert Campaneris, Malcolm Moore, and Tony Olivia. To 199. We got Robin Ventura, Rhett Lauder, Kobe Mayo, Luis Baez, Rintaro Sasaki, Rhett Lauder. There is Jimmy Rollins, Roger Clemens, Trey Morgan, Takoa Roby, Vance Honeycutt. There's Gary Sheffield, Trey Savage, Jet Williams, Jarlin Susanna, Aiden Miller, Jacob Mizrowski, Jim Tome, Luis Angel Acuna, Spencer Arrighetti, Ozzie Smith, Kevin Alcantara, Hagen Smith, and Matt Shaw. To 150, we got 149, Seaver King, Franklin Arias, Carson Williams, Robin Ventura, Sammy Sosa, Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, Hagen Smith. To 99, Bert Campaneris, Ken Griffey Jr., Colson Montgomery, Caleb Lomavita, Jake Peavy, that is Charlie Condon, Malcolm Moore, Evan Carter, Kellen Lindsay, Dalton Rushing, Luis Baez, that is Will Warren, Leo Tavares, and Spencer Jones. To 79, we had Jared Thomas, Josur Gonzalez, and Mike Mussina. To 49, Catfish Hunter, Christian Campbell. To 39, we had Drew Gilbert, Alex Rodriguez, Pedro Martinez, and Ryan Braun. To 25, we have Artist Proof Kellen Lindsay for the Dodgers, and that is Andrew Walters for Cleveland. To 15, we have Albert Pujols on the Elite Series. To 10, Enrique Bradfield Jr. for Baltimore. To 5, Mike Mussina, New York Yankees, and Bryce Cunningham for the New York Yankees. Our short print foils. Diamond Kings are Jack Leiter, Nick Kurtz, and Matt Shaw. Greetings from Texas for Evan Carter. Greetings from Colorado, Chase Dolander. And greetings from Washington, James Wood. We have coming attraction of Connor Griffin for Pittsburgh and Emmett Sheehan on the debut dominance for the Dodgers. Our acetate, we got Bryce Matthews, Hagen Smith, Charlie Condon, Kevin Alcantara, Colt Emerson, Kalen Culpepper, Spencer Jones, and Braden Montgomery. Our patches, we have Josur Gonzalez for the Giants, Prince Fielder for the Tigers, Heston Kjerstad for the Orioles, and Joe Torre for the Yankees. To 99, this is Billy Williams for the Cubs, and that is Malcolm Moore for Texas Rangers, and Prince Fielder for the Tigers. To 99, also Kumar Rocker for the Tigers. Yep. Our autos. These are not numbered. We got Welbin Francesca, Kyle DeBarge. There's Mark Burley, Riley Cornelio, Owen Hall, Trey Savage, Travis Bassana, Cole Young, Blake Burke, and then we had Luke Keyshaw for the Twins, not numbered redemption, and Bryce Matthews for the Astros, not numbered redemption. We got Braden Montgomery on the purple. On the purple, this one is numbered to 49 for the White Sox. Bobby Miller to 35 for the Dodgers. Jim Palmer to 25 for the Orioles. That is for Miami. William Kempner. That is also to 25. And then to 15, Yadier Molina for the St. Louis Cardinals. Our three big hits of the break. We had an Aaron Judge Unleashed. That is a Unleashed to 25, 1 out of 25. We had an Aaron Judge Night Moves. Aaron Judge Night Moves, and a Bryce Eldridge 1 of 1 black. I don't know which one's the better of the two, but I think they're both sick. Congratulations to both teams, Yankees and the Giants. And there, my friends, is your break. Hope you guys had a good time. Hope you guys hit. Hope to see you guys next time. Have a great afternoon. Peace.